All right. I'm back. I see I have like 3 new subscribers, which is like a huge deal to me. So if you're new to this channel and have not watched the other videos, which I will not blame you if you haven't, I just recently started a Shopify store, maybe 3 weeks now, or a month probably at this point. Have not had a lot of success until recently. I've started to see things kind of pay off. But I will make another video about that. Today's video is going to be kind of clickbaity, YouTube style. It's going to be about the 5 things not to do when starting a Shopify dropshipping store. So, without further ado, let's get on with the first one. These are 5 things that I have arbitrarily picked from my own experience. Other people have made other mistakes. These are just the 5 things that I could think of that made that were a big deal to me and ended up costing me a lot of money and time. Okay, so number 1 was to do not fly through the creation of the store. Okay, do not spend just 45 minutes on it like you see these gurus do online. They can do that. That works for them. But if this is your first time doing it, do not spend less than a couple hours on your store. Okay, at least 3 hours. Really, like just paying super attention to detail and going through all of the products, making sure that the mobile version of your store works. I didn't notice till just like 2 days ago that the mobile version of my store, the announcement bar was like displaying over the Shop Now button, and it was like throwing the logo out of position. It just looked super whack. It was not good, and I couldn't believe that. It took me 2 days to note, till 2 days ago, and I've already had this thing running for like, 3 to 4 weeks. So, I don't know how many customers I could have lost just, if they were to go to the landing page on their mobile, they wouldn't be able to navigate properly, and it just looks super budget and terrible. I would have just left. So that was my biggest mistake. So far, it's been my most costly mistake, I think, because I was so motivated watching these YouTube videos, and I was so eager to make like money fast because I've got a very good job, lucrative job, very high stress jobs, and I'm looking for a way out, right? So I found this drop shipping stuff, and I'm like, oh my god, this is going to be my ticket out of working, my glorious 9-to-5 career job, So I was very eager and very, I just rushed into the process of making the store, and I ended up having to spend a lot of time on it, which is what I should have done in the very beginning. And then all the money that I would have spent on advertisements and influencers wouldn't have been a waste, because then people would have actually bought from my store. So that's lesson number 1, mistake number 1, what not to do when starting a Shopify dropshipping business. Do not breeze over the creation of your store. Pay a lot of attention to it. Oh, also add trust badges. That was just super important. And something else I mentioned in one of the previous videos is make sure that your shipping rates work properly. Okay? Because in case you haven't watched the other videos, I did this whole free plus shipping thing once, and I paid an influencer an insane amount of money for what you should pay an influencer. So that was one mistake. And then all of the visits that I got and all of the purchases that I got actually ended up making me lose money, because it didn't occur to me that people would want to purchase several of the free item. So people were checking out with like 4 free items, and the shipping cost was the same. So, some people bought from me, and I ended up paying them by, purchasing all those products and shipping it to them anyway. So pay attention to your store, pay attention to details, spend a lot of time in your store, have other people review your store. I stumbled upon somebody on YouTube that does store reviews live. Andre, if you're watching this, thanks for your support. I'll put the link to his YouTube channel below. It's Entrepreneur Talk. And he'll, sometimes every once in a while, he'll review stores live on YouTube, and he's not very nice about it, but he is very honest, so that's good. Not for those of you who might have thin skin like me. He hasn't reviewed mine yet, and I'm kind of hoping maybe he won't, because I'm very sensitive. So anyway, I learned a lot from watching his reviews, and yeah, so I recommend having people review your store and make sure that it just feels completely safe from the moment that people land on your landing page or your collections page and through the part of checking out, all the way to the very end where people enter their billing information. Trust badges were a huge one for me. Oh, and something else, make sure you have an About Me page. I feel like the About Me page has made such a huge difference in conversions in my store. It's just incredible. I mean, I don't know exactly what it would be, but that's like the biggest change that I've made, that from that moment on, I've actually been profitable just having an About Me page. Okay, so that's the first thing, first mistake. Number 2 is, oh man, I wrote this stuff on a whiteboard and I kind of, some of it got deleted. Oh, research your influencers, okay? So I know that the number one allure that this whole dropshipping thing has is this whole, like, you know, make money quick, right? So it's very tempting to rush through the process of creating your store, find the first influencer that you see, the first person that has like over 1 million followers, and then pay them like whatever amount of money, you know, they ask for the shout out to your product. So this kind of ties back to the first one, is take your time researching stuff and researching your influencer. Because I paid a page $140 for like an 8-hour shout or like a 12-hour shout, and the majority of the followers on this page had like similar names, and I'm pretty sure a lot of them were like fake followers, and I didn't really get as many visits to my page as I feel like I should have for, you know, a page that had almost 2 million followers. So that was totally not worth it. And now I've found an influencer that is actually specific to my niche. So, I mean, I could have found this person if I had just spent another 30 minutes looking, which is not that much time. And I've started forming a relationship with this person to put ads on her page about twice a week for very, you know, not a lot of money. And I've already done 2 posts with her and made my money back. So totally worth it. So yeah, research your influencers in addition to your niche, and, you know, and into spending time on your store. So yes, that would be number 2. Do not just go with the first influencer that has like 1 million followers, because, I mean, unless they're dirt cheap, like $20, then, you know, whatever, by all means, just $20. You know, all you need is like 1 or 2 sales, depending on what you're selling, to make your money back. Okay, so let's recap. Number 1 is do not breeze through the creation of your store. Number 2 is do not just go with the first influencer you find. Number 3 is do not create Facebook ads until you know how to create them. Right? That would seem logical, you know? But I spent a ton of money before I even saw like a tutorial on how to create Facebook ads. I thought like, oh, you know, I'm a smart gal, you know, I could get through this, and, you know, it's kind of intuitive, you know? But I ended up spending a ton of money on Facebook ads. I mean, I got links and stuff, but I didn't get conversions. Maybe that wasn't because of the Facebook ads. Maybe it was because my store wasn't ready. Could be a number of things, but in retrospect, now that I have done some tutorials on creating Facebook ads, I've learned a couple of things that I wouldn't have been able to figure out. Like, I guess this just goes with being in social media and being like a cool kid in social media. Like, I'm not very tied to social media as of recently. I've had to kind of reintegrate myself into social media because I haven't had a Facebook in like 2 years. But apparently your conversion rates increase like tenfold or something if you use little emojis in your Facebook ads. So that's like super important. I do not make a Facebook ad now. It does not have like a heart eyes emoji and like little hearts and stuff. So yeah, learn how to make Facebook ads properly, and also learn the conventions for making Facebook ads that actually are appealing to people. So not just like knowing your target audience, but the actual appearance of it. It's just super important, and that's still like an art to me. I'm not very creative. So, I mean, when I make enough money with this, I'm going to pay people to make my ads because I'm just not good at it. But something that merits a lot of attention. I guess the whole theme of this video is attention to detail, from the store to the influencers you pay to your Facebook ads. Okay, so number 4 of what not to do when starting your Shopify store is not proofread all of your stuff. Okay, and this relates mainly to me for my Facebook ads. I had ads running sometimes, and every single day I always preview my ads, but sometimes like I just kind of like assume that I know what I wrote and I'm not actually proofreading it. And I've had so many like typos and like just really embarrassing stuff floating around through the interwebs that I'm just like, oh my god, I can't believe I've spent like $20 on this stupid ad and it's got a freaking typo on it. Okay? People don't like typos. They don't like grammar, like, you know, mistakes like your and there and they are, you know. That's stuff that is kind of like a pet peeve for most people, you know, at least if English is their first language. If it's not, then, you know, they might not care or might not notice because, you know, their English isn't like perfect. But really, you want to have stuff that's perfectly, you know, legible and makes sense and doesn't make somebody think that, you know, you're not legitimate and it's kind of like a Mickey Mouse Facebook ad, you know. So proofread everything from your site to your Facebook ads to everything. It has to be perfect. I can't stress that enough. And I'm still working on making my store perfect. And I find stuff every single day and I'm just like, oh my god, I can't believe I overlooked this. So learn from my mistakes. Pay attention to detail. Proofread your stuff. If English isn't your first language, have somebody else proofread it. I'm on this e-commerce forum and there's constantly people asking for reviews of their stores. And I can tell that a lot of these people, English isn't their first language. A lot of these people are like in India and they're creating these stores trying to make money, trying to, you know, put food on the table. And the worst thing is just that, like, you know, you go to the site and everything's just totally, you can tell English is not their first language. So they have to have somebody, you know, somebody else review it and really like sit down and spend a couple of hours going through every product and everything and just proofreading everything. That's just super important. All right. So that was number 4. Number 5 for me was to not just add a bunch of products to my store just to fill the catalog and to make it look like, oh, look at all this stuff we have. If the things aren't things that you're passionate about, and well, this applies if you're in a niche that you like, you know, not just like in a niche like, oh, like watches, even though you don't like watches, or like jewelry, even though you're a guy and you don't care about women's jewelry. So make sure that if you're in a niche that you picked because, you know, you're kind of passionate about it and you know the niche, don't just add random stuff there. Like, add stuff that you know is important to you. And if it's not important to you, it has to be at least important to the customer. Don't just add products or just kind of like fillers, you know, to like just add shit, you know, to your store.